Alright, so get this. I don't know if you guys can see the reading there. It says 13.6 volts is coming through. I started up the vehicle today. This is morning. I haven't done anything more since last night. Remember last night I couldn't get it to charge up at 13.6, which meant there was something wrong with my switch, something was wrong. Something's wrong with my wiring. I didn't do anything different other than wake up. When I turned on the inverter with the house battery, it was down to like 11.8, 11.7 volts. I didn't run anything last night. That's just from the TV, phantom power being pulled out. And the cell phone's being charged up. Pulled some power off the house battery. And this is what I mean by the house battery. This battery down here. Anyhow, I decided, I was getting ready to go inside Walmart to buy the jumper cable, which I might still do, but now it's less of a priority. I was going to get a jumper cable to test the continuity, run the jumper cable directly from there to here for the positive, bypassing the switch to see if the problem was with the switch. And if it wasn't with the switch, then it's anywhere the wires coming out from the switch up to the inverter. That's what the situation would have been. Or if not those wires, then the wire that goes to ground on the vehicle. But as you can see, I haven't done anything since last night. And all I did was turn it on. When I first turned it on, it said 11.8 or something like that, which meant it was, as expected, it had run down a little bit overnight. It wasn't fully charged. But when I flipped the switch to connect the system, sure enough, it came up and it said 11.6, which means I'm getting voltage from the alternator through all my wiring, through the switch and everything. So at this point, I have no clue what the heck is going on. There's a loose connection somewhere. And maybe from moving around and setting the, I made my seat here because I get the kids this weekend. And I'm trying to basically just have a spot for the children to sit with me. We're going to go probably to Orlando or something. I haven't decided yet, but want to do something fun with the kids. And I wanted to make sure I had the power system in case I needed it for charging their phone as well as possibly cooking food while we're out. But it started back up. So I'm not going to run inside this. I might pick up a jumper before I leave just to have it. But I'm not going to take everything apart to try to figure it out because it's working right now and it's charging up. Now let's see what happens when I shut this off. So I'm going to shut off that switch over there. We're going to keep our eye on this number. It should drop. Okay, it says 13.6 right now. I shut it off and you can see it's rapidly dropping. It's down to 12.9, which means 12.8, and it'll drop to 12.7, which means it charged up. So it's losing some of the power that was coming in from the inverter. Remember, I told you it was like 11.8, 11.7 when I started the morning, maybe 11.9. But see, it charged back up to 12.6. I'm going to flip it back on, and you can see it goes back up to 13. When I say flip it back on, I was flipping the switch to connect the charging system. So it's charging right now, and normally charging this stuff doesn't take that long. I think an ideal charging system, the charge rate drops down as the battery capacity nears peak, nears the maximum charge. The charge rate gets slower and slower. I think that's what a charge controller does. So when you try to charge with a full, power running through from the alternator all the way back here, I don't think it ever gets it like fully topped off and charging. It charges at a certain point, then it doesn't want to charge more. It's trying to charge faster than the battery can charge. So at this point right now, it is charging and working. So I'm just going to monitor it some more. I'm going to keep my eyes on it. But it looks like my battery's charging back up. So everything's fine again, which is driving me nuts. But what I'm probably going to do when I get an opportunity, I'm going to get a soldering iron. And I am going to solder all these connections, how I have the wires and stuff, to make sure they're making good contact, and that's not where the problem is. I'll solder things into place, and that will help to eliminate potentially, the potential problems. So It looks like it. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to solder it later. But it seems like everything's wired correctly and working as expected. And with 13.6 volts coming in from the alternator, it's dropping a little bit. Roughly 13.6. It is enough to charge up the house battery. When it's fully charged, a 12 volt battery, when it's fully charged, typically says like 12.8. Like when I turn the power off. But this one will actually continue to drain a little bit because the TV, you can see the light is on right here on the TV. That means this TV, even though it says it's off, is actually draining some power, some phantom power. And I don't have anything else turned on right now other than the inverter. The inverter itself drains power when you turn it on. Okay, so that's what we're looking at and dealing with at this point. Stay tuned, and we'll see if this thing remains fixed or if it suddenly decides to conk out again.